Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad to have you here. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so you never miss out on our exciting content. Today, we are going to discover 9 secret tips on understanding attitude of someone who takes advantage of you and don't care about you. Have you ever encountered people who seem to be friendly when they need something from you, but when it's time for them to return the favor or show any kind of empathy, they disappear? It can be frustrating and hurtful, but recognizing these signs early can help you protect yourself and set boundaries with toxic individuals. In this video, we're diving into the mindset of those who are self-serving, exploitative, and manipulative. Individuals who are only interested in what they can gain from you, with no genuine care for your feelings or needs. We'll talk about how to spot these attitudes in people around you and what steps you can take to safeguard your emotional well-being. Throughout this video, I'll share actionable tips to help you identify when someone is using you, how to deal with these situations, and most importantly, how to move forward without allowing these toxic individuals to affect your happiness. Understanding these behaviors is key to building healthier relationships, whether it's with friends, family, or coworkers. So grab a seat and let's dig deep into these 9 secret tips that will help you recognize and handle the attitude of someone who uses you and doesn't care about you. Let's get started. Number 1, they only reach out when they need something. Have you ever noticed how, in the quiet moments of your life, you can go days, even weeks, without hearing from someone who claims to care about you? Yet the instant they need something, whether it's a favor, advice, or your time, they suddenly come rushing back into your life. It's as if your presence only matters when it serves their purpose, and the rest of the time, you're just an afterthought. It hurts. It's a painful realization that you're not truly valued for who you are, but for what you can offer. You've always been there for them, listening to their problems, offering a shoulder to lean on, and providing support even when it costs you your own peace. But when it's your turn to speak, when you need someone to listen or care for you, they are nowhere to be found. You wait by your phone, hoping for just a small gesture, a simple message asking, "How are you?" Something that shows they genuinely care, but it never comes. Instead, you hear from them only when they need a hand, when their life feels incomplete without your help. It's like you're being used, nothing more than a tool in their emotional toolbox. The worst part, you don't want to stop helping. You want to believe that maybe, just maybe, they'll see your worth beyond the favors you provide. But deep down, you know the truth. They only reach out when it's convenient for them, and once they've taken what they need, they disappear again, leaving you to pick up the pieces of your broken heart. 2, they make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. One of the hardest things to do is set boundaries, especially with people who don't respect them. You tell yourself that you have a right to protect your heart, your time, and your peace. But when you finally find the courage to say no, to say, "This is where I draw the line," you're met with guilt and manipulation. They make you feel like you're being selfish, like you don't care about them, or that you're being unreasonable. The truth is, they've never respected your boundaries because they've always seen you as someone who will give, and give without limit. The moment you refuse to put their needs above your own, they flip the script, making you feel like the one who's in the wrong. They'll say things like, "I thought you cared about me," or "If you loved me, you would do this for me." They twist your love into a weapon, using your compassion and kindness against you. They make you feel like you're asking for too much by simply wanting your own space, your own time, or your own peace of mind. You feel like you're walking on eggshells, afraid that the smallest request for self-care will lead to an emotional outburst or a cold shoulder. And so, you begin to doubt yourself. Are you being too harsh? Are your needs really that unreasonable? The answer is no. Your feelings are valid. Your boundaries are not walls, they're safety nets. But the more you let them manipulate you, the more you lose yourself. The guilt they impose becomes a heavy burden, leaving you questioning if you're worthy of love that respects your limits. 3, they disappear when you need them most. There's nothing more soul-crushing than realizing that the people you depend on, the ones you thought would always have your back, vanish when life gets hardest. In your moments of need, when your world feels like it's falling apart, they're nowhere to be found. They disappear, leaving you stranded in a sea of your own struggles, and you're left wondering if they ever really cared at all. You've always been there for them, through thick and thin. You've listened to their problems, offered your shoulder, and sacrificed your time for them. But when it's your turn to lean on someone, when you need the comfort of a simple text, a phone call, or just someone to stand beside you, they are nowhere. They might be too busy, too tired, or simply too indifferent to care. And every excuse they offer feels like a slap in the face. You wait for them to come around, for the person who promised to be there, no matter what, to show up. But instead, silence. Your heart aches as you realize that they only show up when it's convenient for them, when they have something to gain. But when you need them to just be there, you're left to fight your battles alone. The worst part? You try to tell yourself that they'll come back. Maybe they just need time. But deep down, you know the truth. When the storm hit, they ran. And now, you're left alone, wondering why you were never enough for them to stay. They'll take without giving back. It's an unsettling truth that cuts deeper than you could ever imagine. Some people will take and take from you without ever thinking about what they're giving in return. They'll drain you emotionally, physically, and mentally, and yet never show any signs of gratitude or reciprocity. It's as if your love, your time, your care are simply things they believe they're entitled to, without any obligation to offer anything in return. You give them your heart, your energy, your support, and they take it without hesitation. You stay up late, helping them through their struggles, listening to their pain, offering advice, offering a safe place to be vulnerable. You sacrifice your own needs and desires to make sure they're okay, to make sure they don't feel alone in their darkest moments. But when you turn to them, when you need something, whether it's a kind word, a helping hand, or just someone to listen, they are nowhere to be found. They'll promise that they'll be there for you, but their actions never match their words. They say they'll help, they say they'll be there in your time of need, but when you finally reach out, they disappear. They suddenly become too busy, too distracted, or too indifferent to care. And all the while, they're taking from you, like a vacuum that absorbs all your energy and leaves you drained. And when you ask for something in return, when you finally gather the courage to say, "I need help," or "I can't do this on my own," they'll make you feel guilty. They'll make you question whether you're asking for too much, as if your needs are unreasonable or selfish. You'll start to feel like you're the one who's doing something wrong, when all you've ever done is give, love, and care for them. You watch them take advantage of your kindness, your patience, your compassion, and it leaves you feeling empty. You wonder why you've always been there for them, why you've given so much of yourself, only to be left with nothing in return. It's not even about the material things. They can take those too, and it's still painful. But the emotional drain is the hardest to bear. It's when they take your emotional energy, your sense of self, your happiness, and leave you feeling like you're less than you were before. You begin to question whether your love was ever truly seen or valued, or if it was just something for them to use and discard when they were done. The hardest part is knowing that this behavior often goes unnoticed by the one doing the taking. They never see the weight they place on you. They never understand the silent sacrifice you make every time you help them, every time you show up. They take your time without any thought, your love without any care, your trust without any understanding. And you're left wondering how much more of yourself you can give before there's nothing left. But here's the painful truth. They won't change. As long as you keep letting them take, they'll keep taking. And one day you'll reach a breaking point. You'll realize that you're worth more than the emptiness they've left behind. You'll understand that your heart, your time, your love deserve to be cherished, not drained. You deserve someone who will give back, who will appreciate your sacrifices, and who will be there when you need them the most. Don't waste your energy on people who take without ever thinking about what they can give in return. You are worth so much more. 5. They never acknowledge your sacrifices. There's a quiet kind of pain that comes with giving everything for someone, only to be met with silence. It's the pain of doing so much, offering so much, and never having anyone truly acknowledge the sacrifices you've made. You pour your time, your energy, your heart into someone, and yet it feels like none of it matters. You do it because you love them, because you want to help, because you believe that they're worth it. But in the end, you're left wondering if it was ever enough. You've stayed up late, sacrificing your own sleep to comfort them when they were upset. You've listened to their problems for hours, even when you were drowning in your own. You've given up your own plans, your own dreams, just to make space for theirs. You've gone out of your way to make their life easier, to support their ambitions, to be their shoulder to cry on. And yet, when it's your turn, there's no one there. It's not that they don't see it. They do. They just don't acknowledge it. The hours you've spent waiting, the money you've given without a second thought, the endless emotional energy you've poured into them, none of it is ever thanked, none of it is ever recognized. Instead, they take it for granted, as if it's just what you're supposed to do. They never stop to ask if you need help, never wonder if you're okay. It's like they think you don't need anything in return, or worse, that you're just supposed to keep giving without ever expecting anything. And when you need something, when you finally summon the courage to ask for help or for acknowledgement, you're met with silence, indifference, or worse, a sense of guilt. They make you feel like you're asking for too much, like your needs are an inconvenience. You begin to feel small, unimportant, and invisible. All the sacrifices you made for them suddenly feel pointless because they'll never even see them for what they truly were. Acts of love, kindness, and dedication. What hurts most is knowing that your sacrifices are not even close to being acknowledged. When they achieve something, when they get what they want, they forget the part you played in it. They move on, basking in their success, but you're left behind, alone with the quiet knowledge that you did it all for them, and they'll never know the depth of your sacrifice. You begin to question whether it was worth it. Was it worth sacrificing your own happiness for someone who doesn't even see what you've done? Was it worth giving so much of yourself only to be met with nothing but their absence when you need them most? It's like you're invisible to them, like all the love and care you've poured into them has evaporated into thin air. But here's the hard truth. You matter. Your sacrifices matter. You are worthy of recognition, of care, and of love that matches the efforts you put into someone else's life. You deserve to be seen, heard, and appreciated. If someone cannot acknowledge your worth, then it's time to stop giving them your energy. You don't need to prove your love through endless sacrifices. Love should be mutual, not one-sided. Don't let someone else's failure to acknowledge you define your worth. You are so much more than the sacrifices you've made. Your heart is worth more than being taken for granted. You deserve to be with people who see you, who recognize your worth, and who will give back what you've so freely given. 6. They manipulate your kindness. It's a painful reality to face. The people you care about, the ones you give your heart to, will sometimes take your kindness and twist it into something that serves only their own needs. They'll make you feel like you're too sensitive, too generous, or too forgiving, and they'll manipulate your good nature to get what they want. It hurts because your kindness is pure. It's not a weakness, but to them, it becomes an opportunity to exploit. You've always been the person who puts others first. When someone is struggling, you're there. When they need a hand, you're the first to offer yours. You believe in the good in people, in second chances, and in helping however you can. But the moment they see that you're someone who gives freely, they start to use it against you. They tell you exactly what you want to hear, flattering you, making you feel special, needed, and appreciated. But their words aren't genuine, they're tools. They know you'll do anything to help because your heart can't stand to see others in pain. They know that your compassion runs deep, and they use it to their advantage. It starts with small things. They ask for a favor here and there, things that feel harmless enough. Could you help me with this? Or, do you mind doing that for me? You agree because it's in your nature to help, and because you believe that they would do the same for you. But as time goes on, their requests become larger, more frequent, and more demanding. You give more of yourself, your time, your energy, your love, and they take. But when you need something in return, when you need even the smallest bit of compassion or understanding, they turn away, as if you never mattered to them at all. They've learned how to make you feel guilty for saying no. They use your kindness against you, making you question whether you're being selfish or unreasonable. "I thought you cared about me," they'll say. Or, "I really need this right now. Don't you want to help me?" Suddenly, your inability to meet their demands makes you feel like the bad person, even though you're the one giving everything and they're the one taking. Every time they manipulate your kindness, you lose a little more of yourself. You become exhausted, mentally and emotionally drained. It feels like you're giving everything you have, and they just take. And yet, no matter how much you give, they always want more, and they never offer anything in return. The hardest part is realizing that they don't see your kindness for what it is. They don't appreciate it. They don't recognize that you're bending over backward for them because you care. To them, your kindness is just another tool to use for their benefit. And every time you stand up for yourself, every time you try to set boundaries, they gaslight you. They make you doubt your worth, your intentions, your heart. They convince you that you're being unreasonable, and you start questioning whether it's you who's the problem. But the truth is, your kindness isn't something to be taken advantage of. You have every right to say no, to protect your energy, and to love yourself as much as you love others. In the end, it's painful to realize that the people you trusted to care for you never did. They used your kindness, manipulated your generosity, and left you with nothing but empty promises. But don't let that define you. Your kindness is a strength, not a weakness. You deserve to be loved and respected, not used and drained. 7. They promise change, but never deliver. There's a special kind of heartbreak that comes with broken promises. The ones where someone you love and trust swears things will be different, but you're left waiting, hoping, and ultimately feeling empty. They promise change. They tell you that this time, things will be better. But every time they disappoint you. Every time you're left wondering why you believed in them in the first place. They know exactly what to say to make you believe them. The words come so easily. "I'm sorry. I'll do better. I'll change. I promise." And for a moment, you believe them because you want to. You want to believe that they care enough to make things right, that this time, the cycle of pain and disappointment will end. But deep down, you start to feel the weight of the pattern. You've been here before. They say all the right things. They tell you they've learned, that they understand what they've done wrong, that they see the hurt they've caused and they're willing to make it right. But their actions speak louder than their words, and each time you give them a chance, they fall short. The promises of change feel like nothing more than empty words, a temporary fix to make you stay just a little longer. You start to wonder if they even mean it. Do they really want to change, or do they just want to keep you around for their own convenience? It's as if they know what you need to hear to make you stay, and they feed you just enough hope to keep you invested. And every time you let your guard down, every time you believe that they're finally ready to make a real change, they prove you wrong. The worst part is the emotional toll. Each time they promise change and fail to deliver, it's like a little piece of you dies inside. Your trust erodes, your hope fades, but you keep holding on. You keep waiting for the change that never comes, believing that maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. You start questioning yourself. Maybe you didn't try hard enough. Maybe you didn't communicate your needs well enough. Maybe you didn't give them enough time. You convince yourself that you're the problem, that you're the one who isn't patient enough, understanding enough. But deep down, you know that it's not you. It's them. It's their failure to follow through, to live up to the promises they made. It's exhausting. The emotional roller coaster of hope and disappointment leaves you drained. Each time you give them a second chance, you're putting your heart at risk. But you keep trying because you love them, because you believe in them, because you want to believe that people can change, that love is worth fighting for. But with each empty promise, with each failed attempt at change, it becomes harder to believe. The truth is, you can't keep waiting for them to change. You can't keep giving them chances when they keep letting you down. You deserve more than empty promises and unfulfilled hopes. You deserve someone who shows up, who puts in the effort, who follows through on their word. Don't waste your love on someone who promises change but never delivers. Your heart is too valuable for that. Your time is too precious. And when you finally let go, when you stop waiting for them to change, you'll realize that the person you were waiting for was you. You're the one who deserves to be loved fully, not just with promises, but with action. 8. They make you feel like you're not enough. There's a unique kind of pain when someone you love or care about makes you feel like you're just not enough. It's the kind of hurt that creeps in quietly at first, but over time, it wears you down, piece by piece. You start doubting yourself, questioning your worth, and wondering if you'll ever truly measure up. The worst part? You can never pinpoint the exact moment it started. It's not always something they say outright. It's the little things, gestures, glances, even the silence, that slowly convince you that you're not good enough. You give everything you have to make them happy, to make the relationship work. You sacrifice your time, your energy, your dreams, because you want to show them that you care. But no matter how hard you try, it never seems to be enough. You can never quite reach the standard they've set, even though they never made it clear what that standard was in the first place. You bend over backward, go out of your way, and still feel like it's not enough. They don't say it outright, but their actions speak volumes. Maybe they don't appreciate the little things you do. The love notes, the way you stay up late just to talk with them. The moments you put your own needs aside to help them with theirs. Maybe they act indifferent or distant when you need them most. Or worse, they seem to take your efforts for granted. You begin to wonder if you're invisible to them, if all the love you give is wasted, or if you're just not the person they want you to be. You start changing yourself to fit their expectations. You adjust your behavior, alter your plans, and put on a mask to hide the pain. You think that maybe if you could be a little more patient, a little more understanding, a little more of what they want, maybe then you'd feel seen, heard, and loved. But with every change, every adjustment, you lose a little piece of yourself. And still, it's not enough. There are moments when you look at them, hoping to see even a hint of appreciation or acknowledgement. You hope that, after all you've given, they'll look at you and say, "Thank you. You mean everything to me," but it never comes. Instead, you're left feeling like you've given your all, and somehow it still doesn't measure up. You begin to wonder, what's wrong with me? Why am I never enough for them? The self-doubt creeps in, and you start believing the lie that maybe you're just too much, or worse, not enough. It's exhausting, this constant cycle of giving and never receiving the validation or love you deserve. You start questioning your own worth, wondering if it's your fault that things aren't working, if you're the one who's broken, not them. You tell yourself that if you just loved harder, tried harder, gave more, maybe then, just maybe, they would finally see you for who you truly are. But the truth is, you can never be enough for someone who isn't willing to see your worth. You can't keep shrinking yourself to fit into their expectations. You were never meant to be anything less than everything you are. You deserve someone who recognizes your value, someone who sees the sacrifices, the love, and the effort you put in. Someone who doesn't make you feel like you're not enough, but who makes you feel like you are everything. Don't lose yourself trying to prove your worth to someone who is too blind to see it. You are enough, just as you are. 9. They use your vulnerability against you. There's nothing more devastating than being vulnerable with someone you trust, only to have them turn your deepest fears, weaknesses, and insecurities into weapons against you. When you open up to someone, you do it with the hope that they will treat your heart with care. You let them see the parts of you that are fragile and raw, thinking that in sharing your pain, you'll create a bond, a connection that is real and honest. But instead, they take that trust and twist it, using your most vulnerable moments to hurt you, to manipulate you, or to make you feel small. You've shared your secrets, the things that have haunted you, the scars that you've carried for so long, believing that they would hold those parts of you with the utmost respect. Instead, they use it as a tool to control you. They know where it hurts. They know what to say to make you question your worth. "Remember when you told me about that?" they'll say with a smirk. Or, "I don't know why you're upset. After everything you've done, you think I'm the problem?" They take your pain, your fear, your vulnerability, and throw it back in your face, as if it's just another way to put you in your place. It's the manipulation that cuts the deepest. They act like they care, like they understand your pain, but in reality, they're just keeping track of all the things you've ever shared so they can use it against you when it's convenient. They turn your heart into something they can discard at will. Every confession you've made, every moment of weakness you've shared, becomes another tool in their arsenal to keep you under their control. They make you feel like you're the problem, like your pain doesn't matter, like you're just too sensitive or too much to handle. The worst part is how they make you question yourself. After they've used your vulnerability against you, you wonder if it's your fault. Maybe I was too open, you think. Maybe I trusted too much. You start doubting whether you're the one who's broken or if it's them, using your rawness to tear you down. You wonder if there's something wrong with you for trusting them, for believing that they would care for you the way you've cared for them. They make you feel weak for feeling, for being honest. They tell you that you should have known better than to trust them, as if your vulnerability is a mistake. They turn your own fears into a mirror that reflects your worst self, the one that's weak, unworthy, or too much to handle. And each time they do it, you lose a little more of yourself, a little more of the trust you once had in people. You become afraid to open up, even to those who truly care, because of what they did. You become closed off, guarded, unsure whether anyone can ever truly be trusted again. And the pain of being used this way lingers long after the words are spoken, because it's not just the things they say, it's the fact that they knew exactly how much it would hurt, exactly how to tear you apart from the inside out. But here's the truth you must remember. Your vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. It takes immense courage to open yourself up to another person. The people who truly care for you will cherish that trust, not exploit it. If someone uses your vulnerability to hurt you, to manipulate you, they are not worthy of the space in your life. You deserve someone who will hold your heart with the same tenderness and care you offer them. Someone who will never use your deepest fears as a weapon, but will protect you from them. Don't let anyone make you feel like your heart is a liability. You are not broken. You are brave for being real. And the right people will see that. Conclusion. If you've ever encountered such individuals, you know how important it is to set boundaries and protect your own well-being. Don't allow anyone to take advantage of your kindness or trust. Remember, your value isn't determined by how others treat you, but by how you treat yourself. End note, if you found this helpful, like, share, and subscribe for more upcoming content.